And I remember an old bodybuilder years ago, Miss Olympia, Carla Dunlap, making this statement. I saw her say the words. She said, when you retire, whether you're at the top or at the bottom, I'm quoting that part, when it's over, it's depressing. Hi, I'm John Hart. Welcome back to Mr. America Hart. It's good to have you back. Listen, today we're talking about natural bodybuilding. I have a few reality checks on all of y'all who don't know that they don't exactly, when they give out the handbook on natural bodybuilding, they leave out a few disclaimers, on what the lifestyle is going to be like, as well as what your life is going to be like in general. So I'm going to take these from three different points of view for y'all. The first one is when it comes to natural bodybuilding, we have an issue here, okay? Hardcore natural bodybuilders, those interested in competing, okay? When you're talking about, and I know a lot of y'all are like, well, I don't compete. Okay, yeah, but you do follow the Mr. Olympia. You do take a look at those guys for inspiration, okay? You do see what their lifestyles are like through their social media. And in natural bodybuilding, there are a bunch of guys and girls competing at the highest levels, world level, international level, that are giving a lot of themselves, okay? I have to say, when it comes to natural bodybuilding, the lifestyle is just as severe as it is in drug or enhanced bodybuilding. You hear us constantly have to reference both because context matters. And when you see a lot of these lifestyle videos of the bodybuilders who are eating really well, they're doing cardio, they're training in the gym, and of course, the enhanced ones, it's not like they can put their drug regimens up. A lot of them don't, some do, mention them, but they do run a risk health-wise down the line, okay? We all know that and acknowledge that, and they even do as well. But when it comes to natural bodybuilding, you could just check off every single box, the same boxes that the enhanced go through. And here's the thing, in natural bodybuilding, a lot of that work, because there are no enhancements, there's a harsh reality that hits when you compete for the very first time and you get those body fat levels nice and low. And when you're sacrificing everything to get into the kind of shape that you need to get into, that's everything, meaning your energy, your relationships with your wife, significant other, your family, your friends, your own kids, people at work you used to hang out with after work, you can't anymore because you have to go and train or do cardio or go food shopping or meal prep or practice your posing. It's time consuming. So all of those things add up, okay? And the reality is when there are no enhancements and that testosterone level tanks, there we go, I said it. That testosterone level, proven, anybody can go get a blood test when they're in their off season versus when they're sitting at 5% body fat a few weeks before their show in natural bodybuilding. And they're going to notice that there is a hormonal difference. So it's not just feeling tired because you're suffering from the low calories and the extreme expenditure of energy through your workouts. That all stands. That still stands. But now you have to understand there's no hormonal support at that point. There's a natural reduction of hormone levels, testosterone specifically, that happen in the natural bodybuilder when it's taken to the extreme and body fat levels are brought down really low. The diet is calorically restricted. Carbs can be restricted most of the time as well. Most of us have done that in natural bodybuilding and continue to do that to this day as part of the diet. So it might even be just cyclical carb rotation. That's usually the plan. But nevertheless, a lot of suffering goes on. So that's the first thing that they kind of leave out in the handbook of natural bodybuilding, is that if you're going to prepare for shows, if you're going to compete, then the natural bodybuilder has it very, very hard. Okay? Very hard. And without hormonal support, there's genuine suffering involved. near the end. It makes most people, as a matter of fact, in natural bodybuilding compete just one time. They follow through because, of course, they've told their family, they've told their friends, they've taken time out on their schedule, their work schedule, vacation time, or PTO time at work. And that's personal time off for their competition. And they've bought airplane tickets. They might have to travel. They might have to rent a car. They might have a hotel expense. All of these things, they're putting their family out of the way. So they will see it through if they've gone that far, most of them. And in doing so, there's a lot of suffering involved. So that's really the first part, okay, that they don't tell you. When it comes to natural bodybuilding, a lot of y'all, have heard me point out that we don't make a lot of money in competitions. I'll refer you, I'll put down below in the video description of this video, a link to one of my other videos that I put down where I broke down exactly the kind of money that natural bodybuilders make from competing, from prize money, okay? And even sponsorship dollars, That's the other thing too, is that is few and far between as far as sponsorship dollars go. Actually being and getting an endorsement and endorsing a supplement company, for example, or some other lifestyle company that relates to the bodybuilding or the natural bodybuilding, you see? So a lot of the guys in enhanced bodybuilding, they have a decent contract where they have at least a few $1,000s a month thrown at them. In exchange for their time, they go to certain conventions and they represent the company at a booth and they sign autographs and they mingle with the people. So all in the name of the company and promote their product. So natural bodybuilders, not so much. Okay, so the income is very low. And the reality of that is, and here's the big part of this part too, of not making a whole ton of money, is that when we do make certain product, I'll give you the example. In my own case, I've written 3 books. I have my own training course out there right now. I'll put all links down below on the bottom. I'm going to mention those things, okay? I'm going to do a gratuitous self-promotion right here. And, those things that I sell, sometimes I see comments in the comments section saying that I'm a snake oil salesman or something like that, or I'm trying to just hawk my own program as if it's better than everyone else's and this and that. Well, yeah, I mean, in some cases they are. That's the reality. And in some cases there are some really good programs out there and maybe my stuff is not as good as theirs. I give credit usually when I see something really great. But the reality is that we have to have, a side gig. That's it. So a side gig. So sell some product related to your bodybuilding. And in my case, I have, like I say, books. I have my courses. I do Zoom calls. I currently do Zoom calls that I'm available, 1-hour Zoom calls. And people can get that all through my website. So I'll put that down below as well, the link for that. But those are the types of things that we have to come up with to make more money. And because we've given a lot of our energy and our time and lives to bodybuilding, I'm in my 40th year right now. Competed as a natural pro bodybuilder, competed at the World Championships, won the Mr. America, the Natural Mr. Universe. Those things all add up to a lot of time invested. And yes, I was about the titles. I wanted to win the titles. They were pretty much not part of a plan. It's just I liked the titles. But now that you go through an entire career, I went through an entire career of competing. And it was a long career, as a matter of fact, from 18 to 52. When it's done, what are you left with? You see, so near the end of that career, I started thinking long term and putting out product and have sales of my courses and be available for consultations. That's what I do through those Zoom calls. So those are the types of things that I do. There are other bodybuilders out there that have other forms of product. And for those of you who get fed up with it or tired of seeing anybody talking or promoting their own product, well, you're welcome to just turn the page on them, and that's fine. but realize that people can't get in front of YouTube and knock out videos like I'm doing right here, right now. You know, this video, YouTube does pay me for my videos. There's the reality on that one too. Bodybuilders become YouTubers, right? The ones who can speak, the ones who are articulate, the ones who can go and knock out, you know, some content. That's what they have to do to be able to go ahead and make some advertising dollars. So while you, the end user, doesn't pay anything for the content, and that's awesome. I'm a YouTube consumer myself. So I have people I subscribe to, and I enjoy watching certain videos. I learn a lot, as a matter of fact. And certainly a lot of the DIY, do-it-yourself things and homeworks, you know, doing things at home, certain plumbing things and yard work. I learn from those things. I want to know. Well, the people who make that content, they get a small percentage of the advertising dollars that advertisers have paid for those ads that you're seeing during each one of these videos. So as long as you let them run for a few seconds, 10, 15 seconds, the YouTuber gets paid for it. So remember, let the ad run for about 10 or 15 seconds. So all of that adds up. You know, you have to have quite a bit of content, quite a bit of views. So that's the second real kind of harsh reality, is that when you're in bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding, it's a lifestyle that really I don't wish on my own sons. I don't. It's a type of a lifestyle that you do it because you really enjoy it. And I did, and I have, and I continue to. And it's a rare case that you come out of it with everything you wanted from it. I did come out of it with everything that I wanted from it. So titles, that's all I wanted. I wanted to win big name titles. And so other guys do an entire career and come out of it with nothing except some pictures, okay? And I guess they live with that and like that, and that's on them, it's their lives. Another big one, and I'll really not go on about too many things, but another big one that really strikes me kind of hard is, and I'm bouncing this off of you guys if you haven't noticed, your input. So when people call me a snake oil salesman for hawking my product or mentioning my product in my videos, you know, my books, my courses, H.I.T with Mr. America Heart course, and my 60-minute Zooms that you can get through my website, link down below in the video description. When I go to mention those things and it has people get a little bit triggered, you know, I notice that. And I want to give an answer to those things. So we kind of work with each other. And last but not least is what happens when you're done with your natural bodybuilding career. So over the years, since my last competition, it's now been, it's been 6 years since my last bodybuilding competition. 6? Yes, 6 years. And in those 6 years, this is what happens. I spent my entire adult life, so I'm going to speak from personal experience here first. I spent my entire adult life from 18 to 52 training, dieting, sacrificing on my end in the name of competition, in the name of getting titles, in the name of winning titles. I didn't compete every year, but I competed every other year, every third year or so. And in doing that, the reality is you take a lot of chances with your training. So you risk injury. I was one of the blessed few who didn't have any career-ending injuries. I've never torn a muscle. I've never caused that kind of a problem to myself. I've had little fringe, small injuries, and I've had body work done to make sure that I kept myself together. That's essential if you are a bodybuilder. Getting your body worked on. That's not natural. It's natural or enhanced. You need to keep your body in shape. That's the vehicle you're running in. And you got to think long-term too, for once bodybuilding's over with, how you're going to live the rest of your life with perhaps some major injuries. And you know, you can look at some of the bodybuilders. We know them all today that you can look at out there in internet land, on social media, that had injuries that now they carry into their 60s and older with a lot of pain. And in my case, I don't have that. So I did a good job of that with my training, but I took a lot of chances in my training. And so much so in the name of hypertrophy. That's it. So competitively, on stage, this is important to point out, I carried a few more pounds of muscle than I walk around with right now. And that's understandable considering that I was pushing it with a clearly defined goal. Every 6 months I competed in the last 4 years of my career as a natural pro bodybuilder. And competing every 6 months, I wouldn't let my body fat get out of control, but I was pushing for maximum muscle mass naturally during that off season, that short 4-month-ish time period that I would take of an off season between each contest. And then I'd be peaking for 2 months. So in those 4 months, I'd be pushing it rather hard. A lot of those training sessions were so brutal that I was risking doing things like tearing muscles off a bone and stimulating muscle mass to be as big as possible in as short a time period as possible. And I accomplished that many times over, and I was happy with the result of that. Once the competition is over, that's going out on top or going out on the bottom or going out in the middle. It doesn't matter how you end it. Once it's over with, okay, you could be number 1 in the world or you could be number 50 or number 500 in the world. It doesn't matter. And I remember an old bodybuilder years ago, Miss Olympia, Carla Dunlap, making this statement. I saw her say the words. She said, when you retire, whether you're at the top or at the bottom, I'm quoting that part, when it's over, it's depressing. Man, I mean, I can't tell you, I couldn't have imagined going out in a better way for me. I was very satisfied with how I did in my career. I walked away from it willingly. There was nothing else left for me to accomplish in my book. So I won the titles I wanted to win, and I was ready to go and move on with the next part of my life and take what I did in bodybuilding and transfer it, the same drive, into business. And that's what I've done ever since. In doing that transition, initially it was a depression because my identity was wrapped up in bodybuilding for so many years. Bodybuilding was the priority. Getting to the gym at 4 a.m. was a priority. Either the gym or my home gym at 4 a.m. And I'd be done with it and training clients by 6 a.m. That was my reality. Well, the motivation to wake up so early and get in a crazy training session was not quite there in retirement, if you can feel me. And that's a consequence of, I will put forth to you, anybody in any sport, if you're gonna operate at the top levels of that sport, when it comes time to retire, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel that at that point, your reality and your priorities have shifted. And so naturally, what happens? Well, get a little bit smaller. You don't quite look as big as you did, even in natural bodybuilding. So that's a reality, initially. And then I think most of us kind of find a groove. And for me, it took a good year and a half after retiring to get into a groove again where I cyclically train with intensity throughout the year for a long term and with goals in mind, using it with my business in mind. Right? So I always have to have motivation. Anybody does. To train hard enough to be, let's say, better than you could be without it. Okay? That's the best way to do it. Not comparing myself to anybody else, but certainly me compared to me, I want to look better than me if I'm not training hard. How's that sound? So that's the reality is, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter whether you're enhanced. Doesn't matter. We've seen enhanced bodybuilders, of course, when they get off the juice, they shrink. But in natural bodybuilding, it's a fact as well. You're not going to train at that super, super high level. So there's going to be a reality check of some kind of a physique change. I weigh literally the same today as I weighed on stage in my last 3 contests. I'm in the same zone, except there's a slight higher body fat and a little less muscle mass. That's the reality. But I can maintain that or adjust it up or down a little bit, depending on what time of year I'm in. That's coming in my next course. And you can do the same. So that's the reality. Bodybuilders, natural bodybuilders, when it's all done with, again, they didn't hand it out in the handbook, that you're not going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger all the way into your 90s. And the reality hits that once the competition days are over with, once you take away the biggest motivation that you have to train hard, harder than you ever did before, when you're thinking about your competition, all of that showing up at the next show, when that's taken away, in my case, willingly, well, you have to find motivation somewhere else. I have. I like the characteristics that I used in being a high-level natural pro bodybuilder. I like transferring them into the business world, into my business world, for the benefit of my business, my family, and also for the benefit of helping others. So if it stands out a little bit and makes people notice, that's great as far as I'm concerned. So that's it. So natural bodybuilding has a few rough spots in it, some reality checks in it that maybe some of y'all didn't know. And so when you're all quick, some of y'all out there are quick to say that, oh, I don't look like I lift weights and whatever y'all say, I don't know, things like that. Talking about high intensity training most times. I guess, by your view, I don't know what your context is, but in natural bodybuilding, I'm not exactly small, let's say. And when it comes to natural bodybuilders, as they go into retirement and move on and have to find a way of training into their 50s and their 60s, which I'm now approaching the 60 club, there we are, 40 years later. I train and I have fun doing it. I really enjoy it. And I love to train. I enjoy training for hypertrophy and sharing with you guys all the things I learn, even to this day. I'm still a trainer. I still train people to this day. I just don't do it publicly anymore. Private company came and hired me right out of the public to train their staff. And that's where I'm at today. So that's it today. From my heart to you, John Hart. Listen, before you leave, go down in that video description section. Check out some of the links I put down in there and see some of the product that I have, that I'm offering. I believe a lot of you can benefit from them. And if you have questions, comments, down below in the comments section, feel free. The first day after I knock out these videos, I usually check out all the comments as they come on in, especially because I know they come from you, my faithful subscribers, and I really appreciate you. So before you leave, if you're not subscribed to my channel, off to my left, you're going to see this disc pop up right about now. That disc is the subscription button for my channel. Please tap that thing on your screen and let YouTube know you want to find out when I have new videos come on out. There's no cost to you for that subscription. Down and to your left, you're going to see a thumbs up button. That thumbs up button right there, it lets the YouTube algorithm know how much you're enjoying my videos. It lights it up and it also lights me up too. Let's go. Hit that thumbs up button. I will see you on the next video.